If they have to pick up an optional, how much do you think they should be covering it by December?
It is very important to choose the optional. I always say that don't go for the optional that you like. You can read whatever you want to once you clear it. So for GMAT, I don't know how relevant it will be for CSAT, but for GMAT, I prepared this collection of 7-8 books by Manhattan Press. 7 or 8 weeks before the prelims, they launched the PT 365, and it was during that time I used to do PT 365, and that too in a very prelims oriented manner. Just pick out the highlighted parts and all.
I started my full-fledged preparation after I joined the Ultimate Assessment Program at Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily.
There is a 12-month strategy which I have done on Civilsdaily platform only.
I reached out to the Civilsdaily team.
Civilsdaily.
Current affairs में Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily.
With Civilsdaily.
Civilsdaily.
A mentorship program of Civilsdaily, and that did help me a lot.
Hello students, good evening. So today we have with us Tamanna. She did her pol science from LSR. Then she went on to the prestigious Cambridge to do history. And after that, she decided to write the civil services examination. She got her name in the list in the third attempt. And she is right now in the Railway Protection Force services. She majorly chose the services because of her passion for the uniform services. So thank you so much, Tamanna, for taking out your time and helping these students to give them a strategy so that they can prepare this examination with a full-time job or if they are in college. So take me back to your Cambridge days or probably LSR days when the idea of civil services was coming to your mind, because rarely we see people coming from Cambridge and attempting this examination. You had great institutions backing you. How did the process or the thought process of civil services came into your mind, and what was the journey like?
First of all, Saket, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure as always. My decision to appear at the civil services condensed during my first year at LSR. And Cambridge was, you have to be at least 21 on August 1 to appear at the exam. So I graduated from LSR in 2020, and I did not turn 21 in the August of that year. So I always knew I would have a gap year. So in order to cover up for that gap year, I decided to do my master's in Cambridge. I was lucky enough to get into Cambridge, and it was an offer too good to miss. So I joined Cambridge. I graduated in 2022 from there, and my first 2 attempts were simultaneously. So my first attempt was I couldn't clear the prelims. I came from Cambridge and appeared at it. In my second attempt, I couldn't clear the mains, and it was again an attempt coinciding with my studies. And this was my third attempt, 2021.
But the idea of civil services, even after Cambridge, it stayed. So, you could have chosen to work there, and you could have pursued so many other things there. What was the driving force that brought you back to India and give civil services?
In the kind of ambit of work that civil services provides you, no other job, according to me, can offer that. It's the diversity, it's the direct interaction with the grassroots people. It's the different kind of echelons of the society that you get to interact with and to understand from. It's just the diversity of the work that I don't think any cushy job or startup can offer that.
So these students roughly, if they're attempting 2026, they have 11 months for mains 2026. And basically their timeline would probably look like this. So assuming that these students have 4 to 5 hours a day, they are in their job, they are college students, and they cannot leave it due to whatsoever reasons. What, according to you, they should be doing from September to December? And if you can obviously make changes to this timeline, feel free to do that.
See, the first phase, September to December, it's pretty right. You have to focus on the NCERTs. NCERTs is the foundation of your preparation. The core books, say Laxmikanth for polity or G.C. Leong for geography, Nitin Singhania for culture, these are just supplementary books. They will supplement your knowledge that you have gained already from the NCERTs. There is no substitute for NCERTs, and the more you read NCERTs, the better it is for you, because if you look at the previous year questions, until my attempt, there were so many questions that were directly from NCERT, specifically for geography.
Yeah.
So until and unless you know the NCERTs by heart, you won't succeed. And this is for all subjects, including science from 6 to 12. Science, you can skip the 11th, 12th part. There are certain chapters, if you skim through, you will know that these sections are to be done from certain chapters, not even the entire chapters. But besides science, all the subjects from 6 to 12, you have to do it. There is no other way around. For the core books, start only after you have developed a good hangover NCERTs. Laxmikanth, just give it a read or two. Some people say cram it up. It is physically impossible to do it. And if you can, I mean, hats off, but I could never. And G.C. Leong for geography, Nitin Singhania for culture. There's this book by Shankar, IS, that I did for environment. And history, I just relied on NCERTs. I didn't go for anything else. And what else subjects? Yeah, I think that's good enough.
Right. So even if they have to pick up an optional right now,
Mm.
they are probably assume they are starting late. A lot of people start in October. If they have to pick up an optional, how much do you think they should be covering it by December?
It depends. See, if you're taking the optional that you have already done at the undergrad level, you shouldn't be worrying about it too much. But if you're a lot of people from tech backgrounds, they choose humanities, liberal arts optionals, then I would suggest that you would have to start it right away. And it is very important to choose the optional. I always say that don't go for the optional that you like. You can read whatever you want to once you clear it, but go for the optional that you can get a hang of and you can score good in. For example, I am a pol science student. I was a pol science student during LSR, so pol science was my natural choice. And for the optional part, I didn't really have to worry a lot. I just had to polish my notes from the undergrad times, and I was good to go. So that way, and optional got me. I scored well in optional, and I think I got through the list because of the optional. So always be careful of what optional you're choosing and your expertise in it.
I mean, there are three major optional students are picking these days: PSIR, Anther, and Socio. You would see like 70 to 80% crowd in these three optional only. Okay, if somebody is actually picking up an optional, do you have a technique for them? Because they might be confused in few optionals. I mean, I would suggest them to go and read the NCERTs and probably look at the PYQs and see if you have this passion towards the subject, if you can write about that. Not only you love reading, but you are also able to write answers. Do you have some other technique to pick up an optional if students are confused between multiple subjects?
See, I was lucky to not have that confusion, so I don't have a technique for that. I just chose the natural subject. So I don't think I can comment on that.
Okay. Right. So how important do you think PYQs are at this stage from September to December? I mean, should they be looking at PYQs only, or should be able to understand or what the PYQ demands and what the question demands, or only just look and see what kind of questions are coming because they're just beginning? What would you recommend?
For prelims, yes. For mains, no.
Hmm.
For prelims, you will have to start looking at the PYQs. I did from 1979 onwards. So that was a
1979 onwards.
Yeah, 1979. There is this website, I think educationobserver.com, something of that sort. And they have this PDF with answer keys of all the civil services papers from 1979 onwards. And that has been really helpful.
Which is roughly 55 years.
Yeah.
For prelims, I assume, not main.
No, for prelims. For mains also, I did from 1981, I guess. Yeah, 81 or 82.
You wrote all the answers from 1980.
I didn't write all of them because I didn't have that kind of time, but I did mentally answer all of them.
Okay, so mentally answering is also a very good point because students these days, or rankers also these days, emphasize a lot on brainstorming.
Yeah.
Right? Just look at PYQs and think if you're able to write points, if you're able to interlink. Is your looking at them equivalent to brainstorming only?
Yeah, I mean, we can say so. So what I used to do was it was kind of the break I used to give myself when I used to get too tired from studying. Pick up a PYQ, just answer 5 questions in your mind. Like, this will be my introduction. This will be the points I have to cover. And this will be the conclusion. I think for the first 2 papers, you feel really odd that there's something particularly wrong with me. Why am I answering questions in my head? But once you're writing the paper, you will thank yourself because your mind is already conditioned to structure the answers properly.
So in these 3-4 months only, would you recommend them to start answer writing also? If yes, what's the way to go about it?
No, I don't think so. They should be doing answer writing. Just focus on prelims. And for prelims, not only the civil services, the PYQs from 1979, I think it's very significant to do the CAPF questions for the past 10 years. CDS that takes place twice a year. So for the past 10 years, that comes down to 20 years. And I did NDA as well because by the time the prelims came, I had actually answered all of them. So, but I still needed practice. So I used to solve the NDAs. NDA has a lot of science and maths, so you can cut that part. But the history, geography, and all, I used to do NDA also.
So the logic behind that is just to understand how to understand the UPSC's mindset, basically, of questions, and only look at UPSC's other examinations, probably, so that at least you know the pattern, if not questions are being repeated. Or you found direct questions also being repeated?
Similar, there were quite a few.
Oh, nice.
But that is over a period of like 20 years. So there was one question from 1991 that came in 2011. So that's like a huge time.
Right. I think a lot of part of your day went to looking at PYQs, brainstorming PYQs. Am I right on this or no?
It did. So after reading the core books once or twice, I think twice I did the culture part and the environment part. Baki I did once, and I just used to do NCERTs and the PYQs, NCERT, PYQ, and current affairs.
So you read the NCERTs, you looked at the PYQs. You read the standard book, you looked at the PYQs, and you solved all of them. So you went subject wise.
Yeah, and this is one more part. Some people say attempt 80% of the questions. Some people say attempt 75. That I don't know how you calculate that, but for me, the maximum score I used to get was when I attempted all the questions, 100%. It was simply because if you don't attempt a question, you're already losing 2 marks from 200. So if there are 10 questions in which I had a doubt, I would attempt all of them. There was a 20% probability that I might get them correct. So the risk was worth it for me. So I always used to attempt all the questions in all the papers.
Right. So till December, while covering their bigger subjects and a little bit about the optional, if not everything in the optional, they from January onwards should shift for prelims. If not 100%, then 80% at least. Right. And I think CSAT also comes in this period only. How has your experience been with CSAT?
CSAT, I think, so while I was preparing to go to Cambridge, I also got selected into the Judge Business School. And I was applying to a couple of business schools as well at that time. So I was doing GMAT. I had done GMAT a year before. So, since I had practiced GMAT, so CSAT wasn't very tough for me.
But for beginners, I mean, is there anything you could recommend?
PYQs.
Okay. So, right. So at this point of time, should they also be looking at current affairs from prelims point of view, or they should continue looking at current affairs from integrated point of view?
Current affairs, I think you should always do it from the integrated point of view until unless you are, say, 1 month short of prelims, because then you have to majorly just look at why news section and the smaller parts of the current affairs are more important. But so my strategy for current affairs was I used to do the monthlies for the monthlies of Vision IAS. During this time, I would say September to December, they are in my time they were 110-15 odd pages. So I used to divide them in 5 days, Monday to Friday. It used to come down to 21-22 pages a day, and I used to religiously finish those 21 to 22 pages. And it was right before the prelims. It is around, I think, 7 or 8 weeks before the prelims, they launched the PT 365. And it was during that time I used to do PT 365, and that too in a very prelims oriented manner. Just pick out the highlighted parts and all.
Right, makes sense. So, of course, from March to May, 100% prelims has to happen. Is this the right time to also attempt the full length test, or you would say go sectional only, or even don't attempt test if you are of this opinion and just look at PYQs and go for it? What is your way of looking at this?
I would say attempt tests. I attempted tests until the last week.
Okay.
So only the PYQs.
FLTs or sectional tests?
It used to depend on the time I had with me. So if I had 2 hours with me, full. If I had half an hour, as many as I can squeeze in.
And a lot of students do sectional in those subjects only where they're weak. Uh, would you recommend that, or you would say go sectional or full length everywhere?
No, just start from the beginning, end it. I never divided the PYQs in any sections. I never bought one of those sectional PYQ books. I used to start from first question, do as many as I could, depending on the time I had with me. And this was actually for of benefit to me because I was doing it in very time squeezing manner. So by the time I went to give the exam, I could finish the prelims in 1 hour 20 minutes or so because my mind became so used to attempting questions in a jiffy. So that was of help to me having little time with me.
Because you were solving so many papers, CAPS, TDS, NDA, and from 1979, I mean,
Yeah.
you tricked your brain solving PYQs way quicker than probably a lot of everyone.
Yeah.
Then from if you clear prelims, which you will, then from after prelims till mains, what should be the go-to process?
I think in mains, your primary target should be able to finish all the questions. Because in a lot of papers, specifically for ethics, because you are already 5 papers down by the time you're preparing for ethics, you're really, really tired. And ethics is one of the lengthiest papers that UPSC can probably make. So you need to be able to finish all the answers. That should be a primary goal for mains. And I usually focus more on my optional during this period of time and essay and ethics because I think they're low hanging fruit. Easier to get better marks in them. GS 1, 2, 3. I've never been comfortable with GS3. My marks are a testimony to that. It's a lot of science, it's a lot of economics. So my idea for GS3 was to be able to finish it. GS1 and 2, GS2 specifically has a lot of good current affairs. So amongst 1, 2, 3, I think 2 is relatively easier to score in.
And is it also because of your background for
Probably.
PS, of course?
Probably.
So yes, 3 is definitely something that students still are looking for a better, I don't know, a strategy or a resource or something else, because they're still not able to score 100 in that subject.
Yeah.
Very few of them score 104 or 5 or even 8. It's usually 80 to 90 marks which they're scoring, even in GS1. So I think these two papers are still the same. Right. So of course, interview is not relevant at this point of time. So basically, as a working professional, as a college student, they would have 4 to 5 hours a day, which I'm sure you also would be having when you were in Cambridge and with assignments and research work that you were doing, right? So how do these students and how did you plan your day if you have 4 to 5 hours a day? I mean, what are the essentials, absolutely non-negotiable things?
For me, I used to just, as I said, for current affairs, Monday to one thing that I would mention here is just squeeze the time during your weekends. Weekends are a blessing when you're preparing for services. So I used to have weekday schedules and the weekend schedules. So in weekdays, my target would be to finish one monthly. So divided into 5, 21, 22, whatever pages that is. So that plus I would have 30 to 45 minutes of current affairs.
Right. So
Current affairs, PYQs.
PYQs, yeah. So
Yeah,
monthly would be current affairs, right?
Monthly would be current affairs. Newspapers, I would read it in a glance. Right? I wouldn't spend too much of time on newspapers. Newspapers I started reading too seriously during the interview, not before that.
Majority of your day went to current affairs, PYQs,
and NCERTs.
and
So
NCERTs.
rest of the time I would do NCERTs. NCERTs, I never calculated the number of times I did NCERTs. I lost the count after a point. So after I had done 20, 25 pages of current affairs and 30 to 45 minutes of PYQs, I would spend the entire time doing NCERTs.
How did you develop efficiency? Because, time is very less. Usually people are not efficient enough to complete it in 40, 45 minutes also, as you're saying. Did you have some technique or you were efficient as always?
So when I started, it would take me a lot of time. I would barely finish 20 questions in 25 minutes. But it was only over a period of time that I started answering them quickly. So just devote 30, 45 minutes, whatever you can. in answering the questions, don't look at how many questions you're answering at this point. You'll eventually, over a period of time, develop speed.
Did you also cover optional every day, or you were reading this on the alternative days?
Optional, I actually started doing my optional after the prelims because I was pretty confident. So in my second attempt, my score in optional was decent. I think it was a 260. So I was confident that I'll get a good score in the optional. So in my third attempt, I polished it. I started doing for people who are doing pol science, Stanford Encyclopedia, ORF, and CIPE. These are the things that really help you polish your optional. So the 31 mark edge that I got in my third attempt in optional was because of that. And I knew I would get a good score in optional. I was pretty confident about it. So
Stanford, ORF, and
CIPE.
okay, great.
So yeah.
You didn't use the traditional sources, rather you used these sources to understand concepts or probably value add in the paper.
For value adding, my concepts, thanks to LSR, were pretty solid. I didn't have much to worry about for my optional.
Wonderful. So, of course, if you can tell them the basic resources also. Of course, most of them know, but sure, your take on this.
This is more than enough, honestly. For the GS part and the prelim GS, this is more than enough. You should be, if you do it very, very thoroughly, you're good to go. But just add PYQs there, though.
Because you are a PYQ fan, I can see that. So how do you extract value from PYQs? I mean, you use these technique or you have something on your own?
For prelims, I would say once you're attempting the PYQs, just see if it is correct or incorrect. Correct can be because you just made a guess or you actually knew what it is. So if you know what it is, just let it go. You don't have to look at it again. If it was kind of an intelligent guess, just try to see how you reach to that conclusion. And if there is a pattern of the way you are guessing intelligently, kudos. That is what you need to develop. So for the correct ones, there's not much you need to worry. For the incorrect ones, I think they are a blessing because you would have a knowledge bank just by analyzing where you went wrong, what is the information gap that you need to fill. And you don't need to really purchase another book for that. Internet is a good source these days. In our times, there wasn't ChatGPT. It came rather late, but yeah, Google it was pretty good source. So just cover up your knowledge gaps using as little information as possible, and have a bank of the wrong questions. It is very important to go through them again and again and again until you are able to get them right.
If attempting today and if you have to attempt it again, who knows? How do you use ChatGPT and other AI tools? How do you think it has changed the examination process?
I think for the good part, it has made a lot of knowledge easily accessible to you in a very structured format. It can answer questions for you. But I think it can sometimes provide a lot of information that you really don't need. And, it's just a loop. Once you get into it, you might become more thrilled about knowing this also, that also. So as always, it can be an information overload. So just use it only when and where necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, there are generations who cleared without ChatGPT and they're doing well. So you don't really have to use it.
Students are too dependent on this now. They're losing their ability to remember things. Even write one basic answer. I mean, everything they go and refer to GPT, notes, answer writing. So yeah, of course.
To top it all, it is monotonous. The way it answers, it's absolutely monotonous.
And even the data pointers are not accurate at times, the value addition thing that it gives. So yeah, I think good prompt, even you have to do a lot of, you should know how to give a prompt also, because a lot of students don't know that as well. So yes, please don't be so much dependent on AI to clear this exam. Right, CSAT, because you had already given MBA examinations, it was a cakewalk for you. But there are a lot of other humanities students you must have found in LSR also, who struggle with CSAT. They kind of they're fearful of CSAT, especially the maths and the quant, because the last they read that was in class 10th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what practical suggestions do you have for them?
So for GMAT, I don't know how relevant it will be for CSAT, but for GMAT, I prepared this collection of 7-8 books by Manhattan Prep. So I bought them. I studied myself. I never took any coaching. But that combo of 7-8 books really helped me. So I don't know if you guys want to look at it or
You understood the concept on your own, or you
yeah,
used
yeah. I
internet?
never took coaching, neither for civil services nor for GMAT.
No, no. So understanding a concept happened through YouTube and Google only, or how did you?
They're very self-explanatory books.
Okay. Could you repeat them again?
Manhattan Prep for GMAT. I think GMAT level to CSAT you guys don't need to do.
I don't
But
know.
for
People are comparing it to CAT these days.
really?
Yeah, there are people who are of this opinion that
Okay.
there are people who are of this opinion that it is not. So of course we have a divided house. Yes, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay.
So for me, that was very helpful. And then I didn't really rely on GMAT only. 5 weeks before the prelims, I used to do every Sunday, I used to do one PYQ.
A college student who is traveling by metro, coming by metro, spending 2 hours, 3 hours in commutation, and then attending college 10 to 5, they will have 3.5 hours to 5 hours only to spend. Of course, they're making the assignments also, they're completing the tasks that are given by colleges also. So what do you think is an ideal schedule for them?
I'm an early morning person. I used to wake up early, squeeze in half an hour or so, and then start with the college assignments. Because my option was strong just only because I did my LSR seriously. So if you are taking the same optional, I mean, you're just studying for your, if you're taking the option that you're doing for your degree, you're studying for your optional only. So just don't think college is a waste of time. It is a very wonderful experience that you should take to the best. And just squeeze in time, weekends, definitely more. Early mornings are a good idea. Some people are better, study well in the deep ends of night. So depending upon what suits your clock, just try to squeeze in time wherever and whenever possible. Commuting, as you just mentioned, is a good way of squeezing in time. So you don't really have to sit in a room with people outside to concentrate. You can just do it on the go.
Are you a fan of giving these many hours or giving it a number basically that I study for 8 hours or 10 hours? Are you a fan of this, or you say, no, each of us is unique and it can happen? It's very subjective basically.
Not really, because towards the end, when specifically for mains, when the mains are right around the corner, you would be giving unhealthy hours. So just never count your hours. Sometimes it's okay to have put in 4-5 hours, and when the mains are right around the corner, you'll be putting in 18-19 hours. So you can manage.
You are of a firm opinion that this examination can be cracked in 4 to 5 hours if you study it properly.
Yeah, yeah.
And you also said that weekends were a blessing. So how did you utilize it, and how many hours? And of course, how did you utilize it?
Weekends I would focus more on the PYQs.
Mhm.
So as you were just mentioning, full length tests and sectional tests and all, I used to just focus on the number of questions I'm doing, because if you look at it, until I think 1900s, there were 150 questions per paper, sometimes 200 also, if you look at the PDFs I was mentioning. So there's nothing like full length or sectional for me. I used to attempt questions for as long as my brain could in a single sitting. And then I would shift to current affairs or NCERT. So I would just mix and match. I would put in quite a few hours on weekends. I never counted them. But for the most part, I was studying for UPSC.
So for a working professional, I think the intensity varies because their life is a little bit hectic than a college student. They have to go through office politics and a lot of other things. In their personal life also is different from what a college student might be having. So do you see a change in their schedule, or you would ask them to stick to the similar one?
I think they'll have to stick to the similar one, because it's the number of, not the number of hours, but the quality of effort you put in. So if early mornings go well with you, go for it. For even when you're at college, you're a teenager, college drama occupies as much as your head as the office politics does. So
I
it's
agree.
just your maturity will increase, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I would agree to this. But then as a working professional, your maturity also increase,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
it ideally should increase if it doesn't. And
That it doesn't, it's a problem.
correct. If it doesn't, it's a problem. And you're also expected to do things smarter in a smarter way because, of course, you're adulting. You're literally adulting now. Right. So you don't suggest any special changes to their schedule.
Just squeeze the time.
Great. How did you begin your answer writing, and what are your comments on answer writing?
So my answer writing was pretty unconventional. As
Yeah.
I said, I was just mentally writing a lot of answers that I did for about 42 years, as I mentioned. Writing, I think I wrote GS 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 years. So for ethics, I wrote all of them. I remember. Essays, I used to do one essay every alternate day. I never did two essays together. Never had that kind of time. And this is a total number of papers I attempted. And optional, I think I just did 2 or 3, not more than that.
What do you mean by mentally answer writing? I mean, were you using a pen and paper or
No.
everything?
I was just making a structure, walking around from one place to the other, having just look at the question, mentally answering, and this is what I would write.
Did it affect your speed by any chance? Or you had developed enough answer writing practice with respect to speed?
I think I'm naturally blessed with a fast handwriting. This is probably because I come from a liberal arts background. I've been writing essays for answers in my DU 3 years at DU. So if you're a liberal arts student, finishing the paper shouldn't be a problem. I think my speed actually reduced when I went to Cambridge because it's more of a technologically at that point it was more of a technologically advanced place than DU. Here we have pen and paper exams. There, most of the assignments you had to submit online on the platform. So if you're a liberal arts student, your answer writing speed is good, I can assure you.
And you're a book reviewer also, I
Yeah.
believe. So, yes, did that help?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, you develop that kind of analytical skills. And the kind of books I reviewed, I had this section called the words, which is basically a collection of the quotes I liked from the book. That helped me for essays because I had my own set of quotes. And once you're reading the books and you are yourself collecting those quotes, you don't really need to cram them. I see in the market there are these booklets of quotes available that you can write in essay. I don't understand it. Are you cramming quotes? It's very difficult. So for me, it was a blessing because I knew the quote by heart because I liked it, and it would flow naturally in the essay.
Gone are those days when essay used to be cracked on textual approach. It's way more philosophical now, and you can't do it the similar old way. The traditional topics are gone: health, education, women empowerment. They're not coming anymore. So you have to definitely level up in essay and ethics paper these days. Right. So current affairs, yes, the biggest pain point I would believe students have. Newspapers are there, monthly magazines are there. Every institute has a monthly magazine. Sure, but there is a lot of FOMO I see with respect to current affairs. Students believe that they haven't covered enough, and a lot of people believe that current affairs are more important in mains than in prelims. And of course, in interview, definitely current affairs is the single most important thing. But in people usually think that for the other stages, it's not that important. What is your take?
I think current affairs for prelims and mains, they're really, really important. Prelims, I think, a notch more than mains. They're more important. Current affairs, monthlies, PT 365, mains 365. This is all I relied on. For interview, I won't. It actually depends. It depends on your day. I don't remember many current affair based questions that were asked to me during my interview. But that doesn't mean you don't have to study. You have to study current affairs. You should be abreast with them.
Right.
So,
in your daily routine, the magazines part is what students should be focusing on accordingly. Right. What about the optional? Yes, you were blessed with an optional that you could cover greatly, majorly in your undergrad. But students who have left the job or coming from a tech background or starting fresh with an optional, what would your advice be for them?
So I can only answer for PSIR, the resource material.
That's why I've written PSIR only for you.
Yeah, so if you're starting from scratch, absolutely. and you have time, IGNU is a good source material. Just take the BA Honors IGNU material. It's really good. And if you don't have that kind of time, you want to shorten it up, there's this institute called Shubhra Ranjan Institute. They have these notes available in the market. So you can just buy those notes. They're a good, they summarize it nicely. So there are two options for the basic. And for value addition for thinkers, Stanford Encyclopedia, you must go through it. It's plato.stanford.edu. You must look at it. So in that also you need to be a bit smart. If you look at Plato, they just cover Plato way more than is necessary for UPSC. Just summarize these sections, only ones that are relevant, and don't rely on ChatGPT to summarize it for you. It does not do it in a very nice way. Read it. It takes time, but read it. So Stanford Encyclopedia is one of the finest value addition material you can get. And for IR, if you don't have a lot of time, just read one article of ORF or anything plank that you like. Just go for it. Very necessary.
And here also you could do PYQs till from 1980 or 2000 onwards.
I think I found from 85 PSI.
85.
Yeah.
Again, 30 to 35 years.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you were doing this in your head.
Yeah. Mostly in my head, 2-3 years I wrote.
You were making a structure in your head.
Yeah. I would make the structure. I would cover the points that I need to write. That's it.
Intro, body, conclusion, value addition. Just by looking at questions you were thinking. So you were thinking.
Answer in my head. Like, this is the intro. These are the points that must be covered. And this is the conclusion.
Wonderful. Then obviously you gave state PCSs, I guess, Haryana, etc. And you also gave the CDS, CAPF, NDA. How did these exams help you understand UPSC civil services better?
I didn't give NDA.
Okay, you didn't give NDA. You practiced NDA's question.
Practice at home, yeah. Okay. But I gave CDS, CAPF, state PCSC, and AFCAT.
AFCAT, yes.
Yeah. So I did all of them, and they really, really help you develop the kind of conditioning required to answer in the exam hall atmosphere. Because I didn't join any coaching, I didn't go for any of the offline or online test series. Religiously, I had purchased though, but I never completed them. So I think these were my go-to for the exposure that people say. A lot of people say you need to go to Delhi to have that feel, to have that exposure. I never went to Delhi besides LSR. So this was my go-to.
And to give interview mocks.
Yeah, and of course, for mocks.
Right. Okay, so there is a lot of fad about micro themes these days. PYQs based micro theme, that there are certain topics that will be repeated. Of course, you were also doing a similar kind of thing by brainstorming PYQs. And you are expected to make micro theme based one-pager notes so that you could easily revise them in the 80 to 90 days period in between prelims and mains. So how do you subscribe to this idea, and did you really implement it on your own, or you had your own way of doing it?
I implemented it very religiously for PSIR. PSIR, I think I did it only on thematic and micro-thematic basis. If you look at the syllabus, so the philosophers, all the isms that there are, I used to do it in the similar fashion. And for the IR also, the relationships with bilateral, the multilateral, and all of them. So I did it in a micro-theme based. And used to have for all the philosophers, I used to have very small condensed notes, which used to include what all their theories. For example, Plato had the Syrian education on communism and all of that, and then his critiques. The reason I was mentioning Stanford Encyclopedia is that if you look at the mainstream material that is available in colleges and IGNU and all the resources I mentioned, it usually covers, say, Karl Popper at max, at best, or another couple of Aristotle and 2-3 more. But if you look at the Stanford Encyclopedia, you'll get 5-6 very different and very divergent critiques. And in philosophers, critiques is very, very important. Critiques and the books. You must mention them here and there. If you don't mention them, you're just losing marks unnecessarily. So that is very, very significant for PSI. And similarly, I did it for the foreign policy part. For all the relations, I used to have the standard, as I mentioned in the syllabus, Indo-US, Indo-Russian, and in the multilateral organization. So just have condensed notes for all of them. Maybe have a quote from somebody really, really famous. You'll come across it in ORF, definitely. So it's very important to have such condensed notes for PSIR at least.
A lot of students struggle with consistency and behavioral issues. There's a lot of burnout that's happening, right? Especially with the Gen Zs coming in this examination. They have their own challenges. So, I mean, you must, or you, I don't know if you did, but did you face these kind of challenges also at times? If yes, how did you overcome them?
Not really. So basically, I was so short of time always. I never really had the time to think why I am doing what I am doing. So my brain never really functioned in that way, but I totally understand there are times when you get really, really exhausted. So instead of thinking why you're doing, what are you doing? Is it worth it? It is not worth it. You started it. You must have started it after applying some sort of logic. So trust yourself that they must have in a logic that you started appearing for the exam. And if you just get too tired, take a break, maybe take a nap, read something, go out, work out, do something, talk to somebody. But just don't get into the loop of why am I doing? Don't get into an existential crisis. No exam, no job, nothing is worth getting an existential crisis for. It's just an exam, it's just a job. At the end of the day, it's paying your bills. So
Wonderful.
you need to relax.
There has to be some hobbies, I guess, which they should be pursuing, which keep them distracted enough from these elements of life. There are certain pitfalls also that students should avoid. So, what are the mistakes you would have not done had you known? When you look back in the hindsight, what are the mistakes to avoid so that you could have gotten this rank earlier?
I think my first attempt, I didn't clear prelims by 2 marks. And there are two major reasons for that. The first is I didn't do any PYQ. So CSA 21 was the first exam that I attempted in my life. No CAPF, no CDS, nothing. Just straight away. And second, I think I relied on the hearsay of a lot of my friends were appearing during that period of time when some of them were saying I plan to attempt 80 questions or I plan to attempt 75, 95. So there was a lot of confusion regarding that. And since I hadn't appeared at any exam or did any of the PYQs, I just very sillily averaged, as fresh out of college students do, averaged the hearsay of my friends and concluded 82 questions is the number of questions that you should attempt. So it was a very unserious, silly attempt that there was. So I attempted 82 questions and I missed it by 2 marks. So, but it was very helpful for me because I realized that I'm almost there. I'm nearly there. It's just that I need to strategize and fine tune it a little bit. So in my second attempt, I fine-tuned the prelims very nicely. I did all the PYQs, finished up my NCERTs nicely. But then I didn't even touch mains. I didn't even look at the PYQs. I didn't know how many papers there were, to be honest. So in my second attempt, because of the dearth of time and because of the obsession with clearing prelims now, so I did that. And it was my third attempt in which I realized prelims is fine now. Mains was also, after you write one mains, you know where you are lacking. So my structuring was a bit of a problem in mains. So that is why I started doing it in my head all the time.
So you could learn also. I mean, you are a quick learner. You probably are somebody who is very self-aware. You could learn from the mistakes very quickly. Right. So
kind of
thank you so much, Tamanna, for taking out your time. It was lovely interacting. And I wish you all the best in the training that you are undergoing right now. All the very best.
Thank you so much, Saki. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.